Remember Adam said that we need a jingle. Howdy everybody, and welcome to the Praise the Pickle podcast. Yeah.
That was a very different one, wasn't it?
It was a bit different, yeah.
So we're doing something different.
Yeah, this is the first time we've split the podcast in two. So this one, we're still going to talk about video games, everything that we love, everything that we hate, and everything that we find incredibly mediocre about them. But we are going to be specifically focusing on what we have been playing, our first impressions, our reviews, and yeah, everything that we love, hate, and find mediocre. So, first things first, please follow us and what do they call it? Rate, review, and subscribe on all your podcast platforms of choice. Second thing is Kevin, if people want to leave us feedback, how do they do it?
You can email us at praisethepicklepodcast@gmail.com.
Yeah.
You can go to Instagram, which is Praise the Pickle Podcast, or you can find us on Facebook and Twitter, which is Praise the Pickle.
Yeet, indeed. And that is the intro. So, let's jump into what we have been playing. Who wants to start?
Do you want me to jump my little bit out of the way, considering I've been away for the majority of...
Yeah.
May as well.
Go on. I mean, but you've only played what we've played, haven't you?
Yeah.
Yeah, so
I think so.
Who's played has anyone played anything that has not been played by any of the other podcasters this week?
Yeah, probably a good way of doing it.
Yes.
Yeah, go on, hit us with that then, and then I'll talk about my one, and then we'll tackle the big ones.
Oh well, I've got. So you guys played that convenience store. We played together, so we'll talk about that shortly. I've played a bit more of Ori and the Blind Forest, which I spoke about recently, so I won't say much more about it, but I am progressing, and my aim is to finish it before the sequel comes out, man. Which looks absolutely incredible.
I'm so excited.
And I was already hyped, and I hadn't even really played the first one that much. I just sort of dipped my toes in.
Oh my god, I think I'm crying. My eyes are watering a little bit. like genuinely, my eyes just watering out of excitement. I'm just so...
Well, yeah, I'm feeling it more and more now. So you haven't played it, Kevin. So Ben, I'll tell you where I'm at, and you'll get an idea. I've just done the really intense, fast-paced bit where you're going up the water tree and the water's chasing you.
That bit.
My heart was pounding.
That's
so good.
That's like bit of any that is one of the best sections of any game I've played ever. With that music is incredible.
Yeah.
That moment,
perfect platforming. Yeah. It times everything so well. So it's always just like the water's like lapping against your heels as you're just about getting away from it, and you've just got that new ability where you deflect projectiles and bounce the other way, and it feels so good. It's so good.
And it's just the way the music sort of like crescendos, and you just sort of like blast out of the top, and then like it just sort of like simmers down, and it's like oh my god.
Yeah, I'm absolutely loving it, man. It's getting better and better as well. The more I unlock in terms of movement and abilities. I saved up 2 skill points to get the air dash, but I can't work out how to use it. But that's a different story. Yeah, it's one of the skills in the skill tree, and I've pressed every button and it doesn't work, and it doesn't tell you how to use it. And
are you sure
figure it out?
Are you sure that you actually unlocked an ability called air dash, and it wasn't just a buff to the standard ability of air dash?
I'm pretty sure it said unlocks air dash, but anyway.
Yeah, double check, because I don't think you can unlock any abilities
people
that, as far as I know.
I thought it was a bit weird that you could unlock a movement ability in a Metroidvania through a skill tree optionally. That doesn't really make sense.
I don't think you can. Double check it, but yeah.
I'll reread it. But otherwise, amazing. And I've just unlocked the swimming, and the next area underwater is really beautiful and just amazing, and I can't fault it at all.
Have to do it.
Genuinely can't fault it. Yeah, so that's what I'm going to be focusing on for the next couple of weeks, probably, because I've got so many games to play.
It's
Doom
not
coming
that
out.
long.
I've got Animal Crossing. I think, well, technically, based on the general idea of the map and the story, I'm about a third of the way through, and that's taken me a couple
probably
of
about
sessions,
a
really.
quarter,
So.
like.
Yeah, well, I guess there's a last finale as well. Yeah,
Kev, you have to play this as well, man. Like,
yeah, I saw a video of the new one coming out.
Yeah.
And it looked very polished. Looked really really nice, very smooth.
Mm-hmm.
And it did make me want to play it, especially now that I've listened to the soundtrack of it.
Yeah. Oh man, the soundtrack.
yeah, you have.
But again, I need to find myself a little bit of maybe we go on to stream.
It could be. Yeah, I mean, it could be. For the sake, I mean, to be honest, Kev, there's no, you don't have to stream Celeste yet if you don't want to. Like,
yeah, that's true.
You could stream
could dip me toes into.
Because it'll be good if you can get Ori done before the next one comes out. So it might be worth streaming that. And I think it's about 6 to 8 hours long, so that could end up being maybe 4 streams sort of thing.
Yeah.
So it could work quite well, I think. But
yeah,
and it's just a glorious achievement of gaming, man. It's so good.
A studio like this with the Microsoft funding behind them as well. I can't wait to see what they've done with that.
Next one is gonna be big. Like, oh man, I can't. It's already a contender for Game of the Year. I haven't played it yet. I don't care that I haven't played it yet. I know in my heart that this is going to be on my Game of the Year list already. Like, there's no way.
They've already addressed all of the issues that I personally had, and from the sounds of it, the community had with the first game, which is things like the save system, which is a bit weird. You have to collect those, like power up that shard system, and then manually put a save point in. The next game, they've already confirmed will have autosaves, which makes much more sense for a platform like this.
Yeah, I can see why they did it in the first one. I thought it was quite cool that you create your own save points.
Yeah, it was like setting your own campfires in a Dark Souls game, for example. Yeah. And then there was the combat. There wasn't really much in the way of combat in the first one. It was more platformers, and there was that weird there's that wisp slashing thing that doesn't really do all that much, but they've actually added all sorts of different weapons and combat abilities in the next one, so it's not being funny, Kevin, but that's probably going to appeal to you a bit more as well, because I know you like the more action oriented games. So
I mean, it's a shooting.
You like a bit of shooting, don't you? Cool.
I mean, most people should have played this by now.
If you haven't, you're a fool,
to say that.
like Kevin.
It's so good.
You're welcome.
It's so good. The only other game, actually there is two. One that I touched on a little bit was 2 Point Hospital.
Oh, nice.
On the Xbox Game Pass. I just fancy something chill to play over my lunch break at work. I was working from home and I had a hand free. Don't ask me what I was doing with the other one. Eating lunch. And I just wanted something really kind of laid back to play. And I haven't played like a simulation type thing like that for quite a while, so I thought I'd give it a go. I think the last one I played was, I don't even know, because I wanted to play City Skylines a while ago when Kevin was talking about it in one of the earlier episodes, but this kind of appealed to me, and it's really quirky. It's kind of got a good sense of humour. It doesn't take itself seriously.
I've been watching this game since it was first announced, because I used to read PC Gamer Mag a lot, and it was covered in that for ages. So like a few years ago when it was first, I think it was first announced at like E3, one of their first PC Gamer conference things or something. But it looked really good. Like, it looked stupid, but in the right way. Like, the illnesses that people came in with were just ridiculous.
So one of the quests that I just got was to give you an idea of how silly the humour is. Discover the illness of lightheadedness and cure it. And the patients that come in with lightheadedness literally have their heads replaced by light bulb.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. And to cure them, you literally put them in a big machine, and a big crane comes down and pulls their head off and replaces it with a real human head, and they walk off. Like,
I thought you said you have to flick the switch off or something.
bouncing their step.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah,
I love
much.
that though.
So,
that light-heartedness is what makes it. If it was like a serious, then I don't know. Actually, running like a serious hospital simulator could be quite cool. But
there was one like that way back. I can't remember what it was called. There have been hospital simulation games before, but I'm not really into the super realistic stuff. Like I was kind of into Sims back in the day.
Super
a little
realistic
bit because it was.
Why are we talking about Sims?
Because it's kind of a life simulation resource management type game, I guess.
So.
But what I'm saying is it was silly and the characters are a bit stupid and what I like about 2 Point Hospital as well is the animations and the graphics. It's all very exaggerated. Like when you build a room, the walls will kind of bounce up out of the ground and the window will kind of pop into existence, and it's all kind of
like cartoony,
flashy and fun. It's really nice kind of bubbly interface. Just really pleasant to play. Seems to have a nice progression system. I discovered it through a YouTuber whose name I can't remember. But what he does is he takes games like this, like Zoo, the games where you can build a zoo or build a theme park or something like that. And he basically has these like 30 to 45 minute long episodes where he builds the most elaborate torture devices in the world. And they are absolutely hilarious. They are side-splittingly funny, where he'll just like create the most awful contraptions that he can possibly imagine and do everything he can to like glitch and break the game to just make it dreadful. But it's just it sounds awful, but it's so funny to watch what he does to these.
Try and find out the name. We'll put it in the description.
Yeah, I will. Really, really worth a watch. So good. That's how I found out about this. He built like a stupid, crazy hospital where everyone got locked in and it was like a zombie apocalypse. It was hilarious. The other game I went back to, feeling like I needed some puzzle gaming in my life, was Seventh Sector, which is, I've mentioned it before, so I'll briefly describe what it is. It's a cyberpunk, very, very atmospheric, sort of side-on 3D puzzle game, and it's very Blade Runner in terms of this kind of dystopian sci-fi futuristic universe, and it's all told through kind of atmospheric storytelling. I said it before, it's made by one developer whose name online is in Russian, so I literally can't read it. I couldn't even tell you how to say that. I'd have to sort of translate it and look it up and not do it justice. But he made it as a solo project in Unity, I believe, and it's absolutely stunning. It's really dark and kind of it's not a very happy place to experience, but there is so much happening as you're progressing through the world, and you essentially start off as a very little bubble of sentient life in the form of like a spark of electricity traveling through cables and wires, and then you pass through different monitors and machines and equipment and sort of subtly take control of those things. And then as the game progresses, you kind of move more and more into self-autonomy. So at one point you manage to transmit yourself into the remote control of a kid's remote control car, like a little RC car, and you get to drive that around to help solve a puzzle. And then you take control of like a little helper bot that you have in the future. Like what are those automated hoovers or vacuums called?
The robot hoovers,
Yeah, you take control of like one of them, but it's like a sphere, it's like a futuristic one, and it has like magnetic properties. And then as the game develops, you inhabit more and more sophisticated machines, but the point is, I guess, subtly told that you're trying to escape the confines of the machine or the network or whatever. And it's really, really interesting, and there's so much happening around you, and there are all these different characters and events happening in the background and these cityscapes, and just there's a lot going on. And the puzzle mechanics are really interesting because it has such a wide range of different puzzles. It has some maths puzzles, some spatial awareness puzzles. It's probably the second hardest puzzle game I've played after Bubba Is You.
that will always be top for everyone.
Yeah, for sure. But it's definitely, I'm not gonna lie, there's have been several that I've had to look up how to solve.
I've heard it's quite difficult.
Really hard. It's very, very hard, but I don't think there's much harm in that. It's only like a 3 or 4 hour game from start to finish if you get through the puzzles pretty quickly. I don't have a massive amount of time to sit there and spend days working out a single puzzle, so if it gets to the point where I've spent too long trying to work it out, I just look it up and move on with the game, because it's so rewarding in its atmosphere and its storytelling and its environments. It reminds me a lot of Inside. That's the only other game I can compare it to in terms of its atmosphere, that dark, kind of futuristic, weird, hard to understand dystopian future. But I really, really recommend it. Like, really recommend it. Even if you have to look up all the puzzles just to experience the atmosphere that this guy's built, it's amazing. It's really, really good.
Last time you mentioned it, it was only out on Steam, but it is now out on PS4, Xbox, Switch, and PC. So yeah, it's on everything now. So you got no excuse. Yep. You have to try it.
Yeah. I highly recommend. I will be finishing that at some point because I need to see what happens at the end of this game, because it's getting more and more crazy and intense as it goes on. So, yeah, that's it. Otherwise, the other games that I've played, I believe we have played together.
Cool.
So I've played one game that you guys haven't played, called Crypt of the Necrodancer.
Now, I played about 5 minutes of a very early access version when it first came out and wasn't sure.
Crypt of the Necrodancer. Kev, do you think I'm about to shit on it?
Always, whenever you say that.
I think it's great.
Oh, okay.
I love it. Like, it's a perfect blend of two different genres. It's rhythm action, but it's also dungeon crawling roguelite RPG.
I'm surprised you didn't pick up the Zelda one, Legends.
Well, Dan, the price difference. No. Okay, Crypt of the Necrodancer I paid £3.29 for. The Zelda one, because it has Zelda in it, is about 28 quid or something. So that's why. But
that explains that.
But also, Crypt of the Necrodancer is the OG, and it is massively popular. A lot of people love it, you know, and I think it's great. And the reason I picked it up is on Spotify they create these radio stations for you based on what you listen to, and I listen to a lot of game soundtracks. And one of the songs from Crypt of the Necrodancer came on, man. It is like pumping as hell. It's so good. Like, I was listening to it in the car, it's like, I was like, yeah, let's freaking go. It's so
got a rave lights going on.
It's brilliant. And just the way that they blend the two is really clever, because it's not just. You're not just. I mean, let me explain the concept of the game. Basically, the idea is you crawl into dungeons. It feels weird putting them the other way around, but you do dungeon crawls in a roguelite sort of way. You know, you go round, and it's very kind of Zelda-y in a way, where you sort of, you know, find keys for doors and little shops and things like that. But the idea is that you're playing it to the rhythm of the music that's happening, and the music is very prevalent in it. It's not just like background music. It's like it takes front and center stage. But the way they implement it into the gameplay it's just brilliant. Like, you got this music, like the stuff playing, right? And then you walk into the shop, and the shopkeeper sings like over the top of the music and stuff. And then you walk away, and like his singing goes into the background and stuff. And then you got everything moves to. So it's a tile-based game, and everything moves to a beat. And everything has a rhythm. So you got like a big slime monster, and the red ones, for example, every 2 beats they move a step. And then you got the green ones where every beat they'll move a step, and you have to use that with the rhythm to judge accordingly, so that they won't hit you, but you can hit them, sort of thing. It's really clever, man. And then, like, the dungeon, obviously, because it's all, like, pumpy rave music, I like little raves where, like, all the enemies are, like, dancing, and there's dance floors, and it's just brilliant, man. It's so good. Kev, I reckon you would love this.
I've actually seen a little bit of gameplay of it, looking at the pictures of it now.
Yeah.
Because you saying about everyone moving at the same, almost like dancing around, I remember seeing something about it, and I've looked up some pictures that I have seen. I think someone was trying to speedrun it, and when they died. But it was quite funny. It was quite funny just watching all the
it's fantastic. Like, it's so good. I could not recommend it highly enough. And because it's such an old game now, it's like £3 everywhere, and it's just.
What did you get it on?
I got Switch.
For £3?
So I think it's on sale now. Still, it's always on sale though, because like the RRP on Switch is ridiculous for a lot of games, and this one's like £18 or something RRP, which is mad for how old it is, and like on Steam you can get it for like a few quid, so it's always on sale for like 75% off or 90% off or whatever. And yeah, it's great. It's so much fun, and it's a shame I haven't been commuting as much recently to work. I've been driving, so I haven't had as much of a chance to play Switch. But I love it so much. Just stick on big old headphones, max out that volume, and just go mental, man. It's just so good.
So I had an issue with it when again, I think it was like a beta or alpha or something that I played. But what I remember, I loved the whole idea of it and the concept and the way that all the enemies were kind of related to the music as well. Like it was like you were in a rave. But what I found in the controls was I was pressing buttons thinking that I was in time to the beat, and it didn't really feel like I was, and it felt a bit weird and squiffy.
So they've added like Guitar Hero syncing. So they've added that. And
that solves that perfectly.
It works really well.
That was the only issue that I have with it, and I literally couldn't play it because
it's a big problem with all rhythm action games. Is latency. It's a massive issue. Like I remember trying to play me being the king of Guitar Hero. I remember trying to play Guitar Hero at an arcade once, and the latency was like so far off that it was impossible. Like I've completed the hardest.
Wasn't that place in Kingston? Was it?
Fighting Cocks. Yeah, it was.
It was.
But yeah, so I played. I've completed the hardest song on that game on the hardest difficulty and stuff. So I can play it sufficiently, and I couldn't complete anything on any difficulty because the latency was so bad. And it's such an important factor to get right in rhythm action games. So, but adding that latency thing is a lifesaver basically. I imagine. I mean, I've only played it with the Switch controllers connected, so I imagine there's not much latency anyway, so it wasn't really much of an issue. But I guess with wireless controllers and stuff, that helps with it. But yeah.
You imagine Guitar Hero coming to Stadia.
Oh God, could you imagine? Yeah, but it's great. Yeah, check it out if you haven't already. I mean,
all right, I might give it another chance.
I definitely would. If it's still on sale on Switch, get it, because if you don't like it, it's £3 and you can return it within 30 days. So that is all I've played. Other than, I mean, So this do you want me and Dan to talk about the one that we played?
Yeah, go for it.
Cool. Danny boy. Hunt Showdown.
Very, very jealous that I've now been away and you guys have played this because I love the idea of this game.
I mean, let's what's the word? Preface. Thank you. I was going to say preface, but that doesn't sound right. This by saying me and Dan have played about 3 games of this. So Kevin, you haven't missed that much. Don't worry. But I want to get that out there because I know there's a lot of hardcore fans of this game. And anything that we say is very early first impressions, so we could get a lot of this wrong. Not wrong, but this is just our opinions at the minute. But yeah, I mean, I think they have put a lot of thought into this game. So every move you make has an impact. So should we talk about what the game is? I always forget to do that. Sorry. Hunt Showdown is basically... Dan, you're probably better at describing this. Go on.
It's a PvE focused, so player versus enemy NPC focused. Kind of... God, it's hard to explain, isn't it?
It really is. That's so basically, why I hand it over to you.
Yeah. A big handful of players or teams get dropped into a big old open world map. Your mission is to fight your way through or navigate your way through lots of different enemies, which consist of like mutants and zombies and really kind of creepy creatures.
Yeah, they are horrific.
Navigate your way. They are really terrifying, and you don't want to get on the wrong side of most of
The
them.
spider is just
Yeah, I'm looking forward to
Disgusting.
Have you seen the spider?
yeah. I've watched
Have you-
loads of this game.
Oh, cool. Okay. Yeah, the spider's terrifying. It moves like a real spider, and it's massive, and it's fast, and it's
Oh,
terrifying, and it's yeah. And I like spiders, and that creep me out. But you navigate your way through the world with your team, discovering clues that lead you to a final bounty boss type creature, which you then have to kill and then extract the bounty out of the map to claim your reward. However, it's obviously a shared map, a shared game, and therefore you are likely to encounter other players who are fighting for other bounties or the same bounty as you. And the closer you get to extracting with the bounty, the easier it is for other teams to find where you are and track you down. And yeah, that's kind of the loop of the game.
The loop sort of
guess
focuses
that's
on four things. So it's investigating for clues, and that the map sort of gets greyed out and focuses in on, so it eliminates areas where the boss and the consequent loot is not. So it eliminates all those areas and focuses in on one area, and everyone's doing this at the same time. So it's kind of like a take on the ring in battle royale games, if that makes sense. So you'll find clues, and it all condenses you all to certain areas, and then you have to kill a boss, and then you have to banish the boss. So when you kill the boss, and then that draws a lot of attention to you already, and then you have to banish it, which takes like a few minutes to do, which is more like
light, don't you?
Yeah, you kind of, you sort of do like a little ritual thing, and I don't really know what happens, but and that draws a lot of attention to you as well, and it becomes like a defend the point mode at that point. And then once you get if you get past that bit, you pick up the loot, and then everyone knows where you are. So they have this special vision thing, dark vision, where they can see, and basically when you have the loot, lightning flashes in this dark vision mode exactly where you are. So everyone knows where you are even more than they already did. And you have to get to an extraction zone and then sit in there for 30 seconds to get out. So there's a lot of places where this can go wrong. But that's like the gameplay loop from start to finish, if that makes sense. If you get out, obviously a lot of cases you're not going to get that far. You're gonna be the guy that dies.
Yeah, it's interesting though, because we played 3 games,
we did,
right? We won one of them, and I don't know if that's incredibly lucky, but I'm pretty sure comparing it to like battle royales, because it shares a few of those traits, it's felt a lot easier to be successful than it did in a battle royale. So it's not as frustrating.
Yeah, I think the
way.
main reason
And you still get
for
rewards.
that, though, is the lack of players in comparison. You're not competing with 99 other people. You're competing with like 6 to 7 other teams, whatever it is. So you
But
less than half the people, So
the battles do seem quite drawn out at times.
Yeah,
They can be. They
they
seem to be very tactical, and the shooting is. It's definitely a... Oh God, not again, Kev.
Mate, you need to get that on a shirt, man.
the shooting. Not again.
You know what? I'm not going to bother commenting on that bit.
No, go on. It's an important point.
It is.
It does seem different. It seems very Wild West like.
Yeah.
Is that a way
That's
of
kind
putting
of the setting of it.
Yeah, because not only that, even the traits and the guns you have are very Wild West like. For example, you have...
It's mostly very almost clunky to use single shot weapons with slow reloads. So it's about like nailing the first shot, or you're kind of screwed. Some guns are a bit better at spamming shots, but there's no automatic weapons in the game. So it does kind of force you to play a bit differently, which changes the speed of the gameplay quite a lot, and it does draw things out.
Which is great. Yeah.
I love it, yeah.
I mean, first impressions wise, one of the other games we're going to briefly mention is Apex Legends, because we've all played a lot of that this week. And going from playing Apex Legends and Call of Duty, as Dan rightly pointed out the other day, to playing this, the change of pace is insane. Like, it's such a different play style and such a different pace that it feels really janky to play. But I don't think it is janky. I don't.
That's almost like saying Tarkov would be janky, but Tarkov is not, because Tarkov is such a well-produced game.
Yeah.
Same as this.
But I think, the main point in terms of first impressions, I think it's really good, right? The world design is incredible. Like, the detail and the horrific monstrosities that they've created are just horrendous to look at. You just feel uneasy looking at everything in this game. Like, it's just
the feather zombies just are weird, man. I know they're like little bird zombies or something, aren't they? That are just.
Oh, I don't know if we've come across any of those yet.
Haven't you? Oh,
no. We've come across weird. The hive ones, which is basically, imagine a woman, right, whose spine is broken and she's bent backwards like a banana, and there is a beehive protruding from her stomach. So she's like a walking beehive, but with her body flailed backwards behind the beehive, sort of thing. Horrible thing to look at. But then everything also, their looks also play into their characteristics as in terms of gameplay mechanics. Because like, you can take out one of those things in one shot, but because they're hanging backwards, if they're facing you, you can't take them out in one shot because their head, their weak point, is behind them. And stuff like that. You've also got certain ones with they're wearing like an iron mask, sort of welded metal mask thing, so that means you can't headshot them and stuff like. And it's just the creature and world design is like, it makes me feel a bit sick thinking about it, but in a good way.
Yeah, it's weird, isn't it?
It's really good.
Even in the world, there's obviously you've got the mutant dogs and horrible things that will chase you. You've got, just in the environment, there's like hanging bodies and half-dead horses that will kind of try and get up as you walk past them, but because they're doing that, they're making loads of noise, and you're put in these weird kind of dark situations where like you have to finish off a half-dead animal, and it's just gruesome. But I know I don't sound like I'm selling it right now, but to suck you into that atmosphere, it does such an amazing job. And because everything is so slow, like you're walking through a lake and you're actually like wading through the lake really slowly, there's just this added thickness to it that's
proper milky atmosphere in
it. Yeah, exactly. It's got that. It has actually got that in space. Yeah.
So the way that the game works in terms. The first point I was going to say is how much thought they've put into this game is incredible. Like, every single thing you do has a consequence, and every single thing that is in the game has a meaning. So, like, you walk into a village, and there is a dead horse over there, and there is a door, a crank, a little cage which you can open from either side. There's every tiny little thing has meaning. Everything. There's sound cues are really important in this. So if you see a bunch of crows, you need to try and avoid them because they'll make noise, and all the other players will get alerted to your presence. And there's glass on the floor. You have to crouch through it, otherwise you'll make noise. And
chains hanging from ceilings.
It's really, really good the way they've done this, and it just feels like a really. Even if it does feel a little janky at times, it is a really polished game in terms of like the content of it. Like, it's really solid, I think.
The concept's really good about it, isn't it? It does PvE well, and it does PvP well.
Yeah. It's worth talking about like the permadeath system as well. It's kind of like, if anybody's, I haven't played Tarkov, but from what I understand, it's similar. You have to ensure things.
It's very, very similar to
after
Tarkov,
a certain point in the game, if your character dies, your character is dead, and you start over. It's got all that kind of stuff, which is another added layer of tension. And even at the early days that we're in, we've found ourselves approaching combat so carefully and methodically, and really kind of creeping up to areas and Every building has all sorts of different cracks in the wall that's perfect, like crouching and standing heights and different ways to look into buildings. There's no truly safe spot, and it's just so tense, and it's really, really nice. And you can run out of ammo quite easily. Any mob in the game can sneak up on you and kill you or knock you down quite easily. So everything is a threat. You know, even like Ben said, down to a flock of birds that happen to just be chilling on a fence. If you don't see them when you're sneaking past, they'll fly off into the air. Suddenly everyone in the area knows exactly where you are, and you're pretty screwed, especially if you're in like a swamp or something. Like, it's great. And the design of the buildings and the different areas themselves are really interesting. There's like the whole old castle fort thing. There's all these different types of villages and swamp outhouses, and it's lots of diversity there.
It's really good so far, and I can only see it getting better. Like, the better we get at it, I think it's really, like, I could see this being a game I play for a long time, to be honest. I mean, when I first played it, I was like, it feels really janky. And even you said, I wasn't sure about between this and Tarkov, and now I'm wondering whether I should have got Tarkov. But, like, it's just the extra stuff that's in it with the horror aspect of it is just really good. Yeah. Anyway.
Also,
you know what it reminds me of? Sorry, go on, Kev.
I was going to say that from what I can gather, there isn't a for example, if you go in to the game as two people, you don't always come up against two people. You can come up against 3 people or 4 people.
Yeah, you can turn that off. I only saw it as we logged off the last time.
Really?
But there was a tick box where you can say only play you against other 2 teams. We didn't realise that the whole time, so I have no idea how big the teams we played against were.
I think that shows that the game it's not always necessarily about the PvE part of it, because PvP, yeah. Because it shows that it's not the most important part of having extra people. It's how you play the situation as to whether or not you're going to win or not.
Yeah. It's not about running in and finding a fight. And it reminds me of, actually, the only thing that comes to mind that it reminds me of, and this is going to sound like a really weird comparison, is invasions in Dark Souls. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
like, you push through PvE, you do the missions, you fight the bosses, but from time to time you'll have an encounter with another player, and it just changes up everything, and it makes you more tense all the time, and it's always, the looming threat is always kind of there, but it's not your focus. You're not out there to kill everyone. You're kind of just aware that they might be there.
Or, like with Dark Souls, you can play that way, and you can just go for other players.
Be the invader.
You can be the invader. You can
exactly.
just wait outside the boss room for the other people to turn up, and then wait for them to nearly kill the boss like we did, and then take them out. You know?
That was such a fun fight. All those people storming the building
in the prison. It was so good.
Yeah, that's it.
Kev, are you going to get this?
Among every other bloody game I've got to buy at the moment.
I ain't got any money. I'm going to Corfu in Venice, but I ain't got any money.
I will...
Kev, just get it. You've wanted it for ages. We spoke about this when it first came out into early access. You know, that was 2017.
How much was it?
It's 24 quid, 22 quid.
Right now, half price.
Just do it, man. Like, I feel like it's the perfect game for us to play. Like, between that and
nice slow paced game.
Yeah. I feel like it's what we need. Is that different sort of game instead of like your conventional battle royale, like Apex Legends. So we've been playing a lot of Apex Legends.
Nice.
Thank you. And I mean, everyone knows what Apex is. I just wanted to say that we've been having quite a lot of fun with it. That's all I really wanted to say. It's still the best battle royale game out there by far. You know, there's nothing that even comes close to it, I don't think. It's fluid, it's fun, and some people spend way too much time playing it.
Yeah. Clearly.
That's all.
It's very... And what I think we've found, that what we like most, is that when you go into a game, it's the very rare occasion that you'll find yourself walking around without a battle, or there's action very early on in the game, so you don't find yourself just looting up for about 10 minutes to then find a battle and you get absolutely slapped up. My only small thing with it is that you can hear people and battles from bloody miles away, and you end up just getting third person all the time, which kind of kills your groove a bit, because by the time you finally finish the battle, you've got another old bloody army coming after you.
Yeah, that's perfect. That's what I want, man. Like, it's the opposite of the other Battle Royale games, and that's what I like about it.
Yeah.
I think that's just more of a positioning thing. Like, every time that we've died to a third party, it is normally just, you know, we get so focused on one fight, we forget about the fact that another team, you know, our entire rear is completely open and another team can quite easily kill us. And we third party people a lot as well. Like, it's not, I feel like it's just a thing you need to get used to with such a action heavy game. Like, you can't have it both ways. If you want an action heavy, fast paced game, you're gonna get third partied a lot. You know, or the alternative is loads of individual battles, not even loads, just individual battles, but they're a lot more spaced out, like PUBG sort of thing, and it's just nowhere near as fun in my opinion. So
yeah, no, I do agree. I do.
Yeah, it's good. I mean, and our standout moment on Apex was me and Dan played a game the other day. And
that's a standout, is it? Yeah, cool.
Yeah, and it was me and Dan against one dude, and I was healing up, and this guy sort of like sprinted into the tiny last zone and killed me, and then Dan and this guy were having a fight, and then I used my my downed body as a blockage. So I sort of like, this guy was having a fight with Dan and he tried to like juke him to run away and heal, and he was like wedged in this little corner, and I used my body with my shield to block him so that he couldn't run away and heal, and then Dan turned around.
I helped!
Yeah, Dan turned around and killed him, and I was just like, I helped, I did something when I was down. It's good though. And then finally, is this the last game we're talking about? Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, you didn't even talk about my pistol kill, man. It's too good.
Oh yeah, Kevin got a good pistol kill, and
thank you.
Yeah, the final game I want to talk about.
There's two more games.
What else have we played?
Huh?
There's the one we played today, and then there's the one that I played at yours that I want to tell the story.
Oh god, we'll leave the story one till the end because
yeah.
Oh god, I really wish we recorded that, man. It was so funny. Anyway, I have been on my Instagram game, and I stumbled across a cheeky little developer from the lovely land of Australia, and the developer's name is Versidium, and he or they, I don't know if it's a he or they.
There's two of them, I believe.
Cool, have been developing a really fun looking and turns out playing game called Spectre's Edge.
Yeah.
That was right, wasn't it?
No.
Damn it.
Yeah.
What was it?
Wait, what?
You've tried this 3 times so far.
Go on.
It's Sector's Edge.
Sector. I have a lisp, sorry. Sector's Edge. Yes.
Yes.
So Sector's Edge is a game which is currently in alpha, which is basically, what do they call that game style, which is blocky?
Voxel.
So it's a voxel style game, so like Minecraft, which sort of stills the I don't know why I said stills. Sort of has the building mechanics of something like Fortnite or Minecraft, or a blend of the two.
Yeah.
And the shooting of something like Unreal Tournament or Quake.
Quake?
Yeah, Quake. And it is great. I loved it.
Isn't it?
It is. I feel like it's a game we need in our lives. I feel like it's a game everyone needs in their life. There hasn't been a game like this for. Well, I mean, I haven't seen a game with this blend ever, but there hasn't been this Quakey style game in ages. It's just that sort of really bare bones tournament style, solid game. You know, so like your all the guns, they're really interesting, but they're also really simple at the same time. Straightforward, yeah. Like you got a sniper, you aim it at the head, they die. That is it. Like there's no kind of like, you know, like Counter-Strike. No, not Counter-Strike's a bad example. Like Quake or thingy. And it's just, it has this really nice arcadey arena shooter feel to it.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of I mean, one of you guys can describe the training and the start of it, because that was the bit that sort of made me realise how interesting it was.
I got confused in training most of it.
Did you?
Yeah, I wasn't. It kept telling me to change blocks, and then I realised that there was 2 different building guns. One of them's like a single building gun, and the other one's a multiple block building gun.
Right. Yeah.
And yeah, I be honest with you, the training bit I was a bit thinking to myself, I'm just confused as to what I'm doing at the moment. And it wasn't until I got into the game actually playing it properly, I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah, I can kind of see what you mean of the training leading up to where you get to the shooting gallery and stuff. I think at that point you sort of realise you're like, oh, okay, this is what this game's about. But I thought the training was quite good. I thought it was quite a nice way to ease you into just all the controls one by one, like a proper old school, like a Half-Life game or something. Through. It's just like, you know, here's an enemy facing away from you. You press V to kill this type of enemy. Here's an enemy facing you. You shoot them. Here's, you know what I mean? Just really kind of straightforward. I don't quite know how you got confused, to be honest, Kev. Apart from the building, the 2 separate building guns was a little bit confusing, I suppose. Yeah.
Yeah, I got confused before it gave me a weapon for a minute or two, just trying to work that out. And then I think it was because I didn't see the text written on the floor at my feet saying to do this next. I just looked around the room and I was like, oh, what do I do? And then I looked down and I saw it. And then when it gives you the gun, it kind of all makes sense. But just before that, it's the saving of your custom instant build things. That was genius. So good. So good. So in Fortnite, you get a set of predetermined structures that you can build. So you get like a flat platform, you get a staircase, you get a wall, and then you can sort of moderately edit them afterwards by taking the center bit out to make a window or whatever. In this, it's all cubes, so it's kind of like Minecraft, and it gives you 4 predetermined structures that you can use, and then it shows you all of them laid out in a room in a 3x3 grid, and then the remaining 5 squares are empty, and on the wall it says build whatever you want in those remaining squares and they will be saved into your gun, so you can use them at the click of a button. Now that just opens up a world of ideas.
that is like, that's a game changer, isn't it? Like, you can just do...
Yeah.
Oh, it's so good, man. I can't even describe it. You can just build all these really interesting... So I built one, which was... So I built a wall with the window in it already as a start sort of thing. Yeah. I built a reverse stairs. So like in Fortnite, you have to build the ramp and then edit it to make it like a spiral staircase sort of thing. And I built that to do so I could quickly use that to run up like a spiral staircase. And yeah, it was so good, man. I built a bunker as well, so I could just press a button and put a bunker down and walk into it, like a 3x3 bunker with a little hole in the middle that I could walk into with a little window and stuff. It's so good. Yeah.
So that's a cool feature, and then it shows you like a little firing range, and you can make as many loadouts as you want with the range of weapons. It's got quite a simple system where you get given a limit on how many power points you can spend on a certain loadout, and each weapon or perk has a different cost to it.
Did you guys see that you can edit
like
weapons as well?
Black Ops, I think.
Did you see that you can edit the weapons themselves with attachments?
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah. There's attachments on weapons as well.
What? Sniper scope on my that gun I was using at the start.
That's what you were using. I couldn't work it out. I was like, how's he got so much range? What is going on? I did not know you could do that. I really wanted a nice scope on my assault rifle. That's crazy. That's so cool.
I think you have to unlock them.
So, you have to unlock some of them, yeah.
Oh, mate, that is so cool. I want to go back to it already.
It's a nice little game, isn't it?
But the thing they tote that we haven't even mentioned yet is that the entire world, every single part of every single map is destructible voxel environments as well. And that means you can literally carve entire tunnels through the side of mountains or buildings.
As Kevin did, the little mole rat.
Or you could just like make yourself little cubbies, or you can, tuck yourself away, or you can build upwards, you can dig downwards. You can use your predetermined structures to build entire fortresses around objectives. The guns do damage to all the different structures depending on the gun. Some guns penetrate through several blocks, so if somebody's in a structure, you can just shoot them straight through the wall.
Or as I did, I got the rocket rifle, whatever it was called, and
just spamming it.
Because there was the platform with the canister on that you guys were trying to get. So I ran underneath it, and I just destroyed the entire floor, just hoping that I would hit underneath them and they would just fall through.
Yeah, it works so well. It's just so much fun, and it's just all these little nice attention to details in the maps. The drop pods.
Oh, the drop pods, man! I loved them. I thought they were so good.
I really want to see that on a big map. I really need to see that with several players per team. So that's one issue. I'd say that we were playing the non-Steam early access directly from the website.
The Steam early access is the same
to the Steam servers.
Yeah, just want to get that out there. It is the same thing.
Oh yeah, but I don't think you're even playing early access technically yet, because that's not published on Steam. You're playing early access.
No. So when I downloaded the Steam one, a message came up saying that they're trying to sort of push the alpha people onto the Steam one. I believe they can correct me if I'm wrong, and I will apologise next week. But they're trying to whatever the word is. What's the word when you move a website to another place? Migrate. That's the one. From their current system that they have onto Steam, because they're going to sell it through Steam eventually, or even if it's free to play or whatever. So I think they're moving.
That's
the
what I
other
mean.
onto
that hasn't been done yet.
At the moment, if you get it through Steam, I don't think you can. The developers gave me a Steam key for it, so but you can just go onto their website and get it for free. Literally, go onto.
It's a free game.
It's
That's
insane,
crazy.
Isn't it? I can't believe it. This is obviously someone's passion project, and it's just incredible that it's free.
It feels so indie, and it's got all these little rough edges and a clunky user interface, but everything is there that you want from a good fun game. And I was howling. Somebody came upstairs into my room earlier on and was like, "Damn, will you shut up? You're being so loud." And I was just like, "I'm sorry. I'm having so much fun. I can't help it."
Brilliant.
And it was just us three. The occasional other player joined us. There's not a massive... On the server system that we're logged into, there's not a huge community there yet, we must say. So don't expect tens of thousands of players online. But for you and your mates, just jump on and have some fun. It's
if you go on, just look for... the Pickle gang, because we'll be playing it a lot, I presume.
Squad.
So we'll probably be on there. So
come find us.
You're not going to struggle to find us, because the most players we've seen on is 5 people, 6 people or something. So but incredible work. It's exactly what I need in my life right now, and I'm so happy that it's been made. And
So one other thing that I did in this game, which I just want to mention, just to tie together how the whole construction thing really makes the game special. There's a massive structure in one of the levels that we played, and when I jumped on earlier, I was like, "Oh, there's no players online. I'm just going to play with the mechanics and the physics and see how it works with the destruction laser gun thing." And I spent a good 5 or 10 minutes just running around chopping all of the different pillars up and every bridge and every connecting component until the entire thing just collapsed into oblivion. And it's so good. The idea that if somebody's really high up in a tower, you can just slowly cut it down and it just falls down like a tree in a forest.
And there's fall damage and stuff as well, so you can actually use that as a viable method. It's good.
Yeah.
Because if people build those one square things to get a height advantage, and you just in Minecraft where you just build face directly down and just build a one square thing all the way up. Just get any gun and shoot it at the bottom. The whole thing comes crumbling down. It's brilliant. Yeah. So we really, really enjoyed it.
Sector's Edge, check it out.
Anything else to add, Kev?
No, I agree with both of you. Just go check it out. Give it a little while yourself.
Yeah. Well, the website, we'll post the website in the description, and I'll give it a shout out on social media this week, because I want more people to play, man. I want to see what an 8v8 game's like.
Yeah, me too.
It looks mad. Awesome. So that's everything we've played this week?
With one cheeky little exception.
This is a...
I'm very intrigued as to
I'm
what
not the
this
best.
is.
I'm not the best at telling stories, but I'm gonna try and set an atmosphere. I feel like in the edit we should add some like eerie music over the back.
Sort it out, don't worry.
You know? So
Just pretend there's eerie
tell it
music
as if
going
it
on. Okay.
actually happened to me. So I found myself waking up in my apartment. I knew I had work in a short while. The alarm had just gone off. I was hungry. I needed to get changed. I didn't have much time. So I walk over to the fridge, frame rate 15, and pull out a mill, look at the packaging. Highest resolution packaging I've ever seen. I can read every word of it. I can read the ingredients. The picture on it was crisp. Take it to the microwave, plonk it in. Excellent microwave sound effects. You know that like mesh you get on the front of a microwave? Rendered perfectly. So realistic.
Mm-hmm.
It's dark outside, you know. I'm doing my night shift today. Walk over to my clothes that are on the floor. I'm lazy, I do that. And put my clothes on. The screen fades to black and then fades back in. I'm dressed and ready for work. I eat my meal. I walk into the hallway. I grab my torch. It's dark outside. We don't have street lamps in my town. What we do is not very good. And I head to work with my flashlight. So I leave the front door. It's dark. It's a bit foggy. I can't really see much, you know. Turn the settings down. Frame rate 20 by this point, maybe 25 on a push. And I make my way through town. There's no signpost here. It's not really well signposted. I don't really know where I'm going, but I kind of just eventually figure it out. Head down some stairs. Ben instructs me a bit because he's progressed through this area before. And all the buildings look the same. There's no people around. All the textures are a bit flat. There's not really much going on. My view distance is about 15 feet. And eventually I walk into a clearing, and on the horizon is a very well lit, very bright, like how you would imagine, like an American gas station without the gas?
Yeah.
Like a big opening with a convenience store smack bang in the middle. Yeah, it's called Convenience Store. It's a Chinese-made game, I think, isn't it?
I think it's
Japanese.
Chinese, I think.
Remind me? Okay, Japanese-made game. Very indie, so apologies for being maybe a little bit critical of some areas of this game. The front is all glass, it's well lit, it's a very dark town, so it stands out on the horizon. It's like a screenshot moment. In fact, I think it's the cover image of the game, this glowing convenience store with like all this light beaming out of the windows. So the walking speed of everyone and everyone that moves in this game walks incredibly painfully slowly, right? At one point I was sprinting. There was a sprint button. I was sprinting everywhere I went in this game, and I was sprinting so slowly that I kind of forgot that I was sprinting, but it's painful, it hurts. So you're like, okay, well, this is where I work. Obviously, it's the only place in town that has any signs of life. So you walk up to it, and sitting outside, like on the floor, I don't know if he's like a beggar or something, couldn't really tell, is a chap sitting there in like a suit or something. A beggar in a suit? That's a weird image, isn't it? But anyway, he's sitting there on the floor and he's kind of looking away from you. And as I approached him, he turned to look at me quite suddenly and quite sharply. And okay, imagine going to your mum's inkjet printer and taking a random face off Google Images, just completely random person's face, printing it on a printer, and then wrapping it around a rugby ball, and then replacing the head of a mannequin with a rugby ball wrapped in a photograph. That's kind of how his face looked, right? To the point where it's scary to look at, and if you look at it from the side, people's glasses are like painted onto their face, and look, it was just it was a little bit creepy to look at. Nobody blinked, no faces moved or anything. And considering the environment around it was all like realistically rendered, this was just kind of terrifying. He didn't say anything, walked into the store, manager standing there, same like painted on face. Everything else around him, apart from the occasional thing, was like super sharp and realistic. The contrast was quite weird, wasn't it, Ben? Like, some of the textures looked like they'd been painted by a 3-year-old, and other textures looked like the most realistic things you've ever seen. It was so weird.
Yeah, it
like,
was
crazy good reflections in some places, and then in other places.
It was not great.
No, I'm probably dragging this out a little bit, but eventually I start my job, clock in, all that. The gameplay loop's not that great, really. Manager disappears, you're standing in the shop, and you basically wait for a customer to turn up. First person that turns up is the delivery man, painted face, hands you a box, teleports onto the desk, and then I decided, because I was bored shitless, basically, to follow him outside. This was an experience, and I realised, I was like, oh my god, there are vehicles in this game. It's the first like signs of life I'd seen, and these vehicles, as I say, everything moves really slowly. These vehicles were like crawling along the road in the background. Like, I was like, oh my god, there's actually cars. He walked over to his giant van that was parked outside that I didn't see pull up, so that's cool. As he got about 10 feet away from it, I was watching him. He teleported into the driving seat. The van itself did a 180-degree pivot on the spot. Not a 3-point turn, like it spun on the spot as if it was on like a spin top or like a wheel, and then just kind of slowly drove through a wall and then off into the distance. And the rest of the game consisted of serving customers beers. Like I think he asked for a 6-pack, but for some reason your character can only carry one at a time, so you have to walk really slowly across the store, pick up a beer, walk really slowly back, give him the beer, walk really slowly back to the fridge, etc. Considering that everyone moved so painfully slowly, the last thing you want to see is a really, really old lady turn up at the front door on a Zimmer frame.
Slowly is an understatement.
So it was quite weird because she walked off into the bathroom. This game is so bugged and flawed at every angle, it's awful. She goes to the public bathroom, like, oh, you're just here to use the toilet. Oh, all right, Doris, off you go. She walks off to the toilet and she lets herself in. I kind of forgot about her for a bit, and I was like, where the hell's Doris gone? She's been in there for a while. And then some other stuff happens.
You have to exterminate some
killing
rats.
stationary
rats
or something that don't move.
Who's that?
In there.
Oh shit, I unlocked it twice. Fuck, man.
Don't worry, go on.
I'm muted.
So you're killing some rats. Old Doris is in the bathroom. I went to find out where she was, and the bathroom door opened up. She started to come out, and I was like, oh, there you are, Doris. I was worried about you. Where have you been? And then she gets about 6 or 7 steps out. She just froze. Like completely dead, frozen, no signs of life, no blinking, no animations, no idle anything. And I just kind of stared at her for a bit. I was like, hello? You going to move? Nope, she just froze in the corner of the shop, so we left her to it.
About 15 minutes later, she's still there.
Literally just left her doing her freezy thing in the corner. I thought she died. I was like, well, she was pretty old anyway, and she looked like death, so that was great. There was it's supposed to be a ghost story, I think, like some kind of creepy thing. Yeah. And one of the things it tries to do to scare you is, you know how those American doors open up it goes bing, and then it shuts again, it goes bong, and it does that whole bing bong thing when it opens and closes. I think I said to Ben at one point, I was like, oh god, the noise of that door opening and closing is really annoying every time I walk past it. And then a couple of minutes later, it was going bing, bong, bing, bong, over and over again. I was like, oh, great. So is it glitched? Is it bugged? I don't know at this point. I was looking on the cameras, and there's like a ghost child standing at the door, and then he runs off, and it's supposed to be scary, and it's not. And then all this happens in one day, and it was just the most boring, glitchy, buggy, awful mess. Doris woke up eventually, by the way.
Did she?
I spoke to her, and she screamed at me some nonsense, and then Zimmer framed off into the night. And then you go home, and you watch a videotape, which isn't scary, It's just a weird pervert filming something through the crack in the wall of the shop or something. You get all the way home, you teleport home, thank God, you don't have to do that walk again. Then you wake up, and then you do it all over again, and supposedly something exciting happens the next day. I think on day 2 I was getting rid of expired goods from the shelves. It was fucking awful. It was the worst, most terrible bugs. Just what's the opposite of immersion? Just like absolutely groundbreakingly like broken and not
Sorry
fun.
for the clicking. I'm just sending Kevin a picture of one of the characters in the game.
Oh, have you found one? Perfect. I needed that for social media the other day. I How did you find a picture of one of the characters?
I went onto YouTube, found it.
Oh, you found it? It's quite the experience. Did you find one of the old lady in particular?
No, the guy outside with his face just like it looks like he's like a bowling ball that's been vinyl dipped.
It's the contrast of the background behind it, how they've tried so hard to render very specific things in such high detail. And then these characters are just awful. There was one guy that had his little finger on each of his hands, in his alien-looking hands, was poking directly out to his sides.
They were broken.
So you know how posh people in the UK,
I mean,
here in England, they'll drink a cup of tea with their little finger poking out. He was like that all the time.
This is basically this story was an example of how I can get easily convinced by the idea of a horror game without actually looking into it. If only I had a 30-day refund policy. But it was dreadful. It was terrible.
But it was almost good because it was so bad.
Yeah, it kind of felt like a joke from the start, didn't it? But it didn't really fit because it wasn't.
That only works because they tried to make it serious.
Yeah, true.
And there was nothing intentionally jokey about it. It was just so try hard and so awful that it was hilarious to play through.
And it was terrible.
I almost want to recommend it.
It's about £2. I mean, to be fair, what you pay for it. You pay £2 for a game. It's gonna be, it's weird, but I don't know. It's Japanese horror always entices me because it's very different normally.
That was very different.
Yeah. Anyway, that's it. That's it. I thoroughly enjoyed that game. You know, I'm in desperate need of games to play when I download a £2 game off Steam called the Convenience Store and expect wonders.
Which is literally about working in a convenience store. Who wants to play a game about working in retail?
Yeah, so that's all the games we played. Kevin.
Yep.
Feedback.
All right. Got a few little bits and bobs. Ben asked on Twitter, Instagram, said, "What stunners have you played this year?" And Copper Lantern Reviews said Shrouded Isle, a cult simulator, which costs about £6.
I looked at Shrouded Isle. It looks really interesting.
It only costs you £6, so.
Yeah. Well, I was talking because we've been talking about a cult simulator quite a lot, and that's great as we've said already. But Shrouded Isle looks really interesting. Has quite an interesting art style, and I don't really know how it plays. I might look into it a bit more. But thank you for your suggestions. They're needed.
And my favourite bit, which I'd like to really ell out before you guys make a little comment on it, okay? So one of I can't remember what the question was to be asked, but someone's response, guy called Bleezo, or someone called Bleezo, had something to say about Gris. Said that it was a very cool, it had very cool symbolism, but it's boring as hell to play. And in response, he said that not every game has to be action-packed. and fast, especially if it's story based. If it's telling a story or an idea, it doesn't have to be, well, yeah, action packed and fast. His reply was saying that the game, you walk very, very slowly, and if you was to take the wrong turn, you'd have to backtrack, and it was incredibly frustrating. So I'd just like to know your guys' opinion on
I'll let Dan take this one. I've already said my opinion, because I don't think games need to have terribly interesting mechanics if that's not what they're trying to do. You know, like look at the convenience store. That's got the best mechanics out there. You know, delivering beer 1 can at a time.
That was slow walking. Gris was like Formula One.
Gris was like
to that.
Sonic compared to that.
Yeah. Firewatch. What a beautiful game, and you just walk. And there's Edith Finch.
That was my argument.
You know, lots of people.
I said to him, I said some of our favourites have been walking simulators, which you could argue have the most boring gameplay of all, technically, because it's just walking, you know. But,
yeah, and you've got Telltale games which don't have any gameplay at all. You just click on a choice and watch the results of that play out in front of you. Like lots of, I'm not a big fan of those games personally, but loads of people are. I thought Gris had some quite interesting puzzle mechanics. I quite liked unlocking the weight-based cube transformation and the different glides and jumps.
Mechanics were quite good. I can see what he's saying, because I mean the post was me talking about like in amazing world design, and the other games on there were Dead Cells and Hollow Knight. And if somebody that really likes those types of games might not like Gris, which is fair enough, because it's not for everyone. But
True.
I don't. Yeah, I think if he said had really cool symbolism, but it was boring. I found it boring as hell to play. Then that would make more sense, because that would be more opinionated. But
Ben's getting defensive.
And Gris was our number 2 game of last year, so I have to get defensive.
We've got to defend it in our own way.
Still should have won.
I think it's a means that what we've touched on before is that you can tell games don't have to be about playing games anymore. It's almost an art. It's in itself.
Yeah, exactly.
A moving action art almost.
Agreed.
Also, another comment we had, which I guess answers the question, is about put up a picture of the 7th sector, how beautiful the game looked. And I think you said earlier on how to get a hold of it, which is one of the comments we had.
Yeah, they asked what platform we can get it on. And I already said PS4, Xbox, Switch, and Steam.
Yeah, so. Yeah, I mean, people seem to like look at the pictures, and the pictures do look pretty wild. So I say everyone go out there and pick it up.
Yeah,
but I believe that is all we have.
We've got one comment on posted about original and not original, just soundtracks of games. And someone's said the Ori soundtrack is amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. Beating a dead horse there, man.
Yeah, I'm going to say, I don't think we've ever said that in the podcast, have
we? We even got Kevin listening to it. He hasn't even played the game, so... yeah, cool. So, Kev, if people wanna, you know, just have a look at the stuff that we're posting and get involved on all these questions and all these answers and get their Instagram shouted out or their Twitter shouted out or whatever, how do they do it?
Well, if you want your Instagram shouted out, you go to Praise Pickle Podcast. If you want your Twitter or Facebook shouted out, you go to Praise Pickle. Or if you want to send a little email, Praise Pickle Podcast at
In which case, we'll just shout out your first name.
.com. Yeah. Potentially your last name as well if you want.
Yeah, see how I feel. And that is it.
That includes business and sponsorship inquiries too.
It does indeed. Any free games or whatever, you know? I'm joking. That is it. So, what we've been playing, feedback, tick. So listen out for our next news one coming to you soon. yeah.
We don't know what order
We
we're going to
don't
release these in
no,
yet.
so I'm either plugging next week's news or this week's news.
or the one we just
The one
released.
we just
Yeah.
released, yeah. One or the other. Either way, there is a separate podcast for all the gaming news and business. But that is it.
We have some pretty good discussions over there.
Yes, we do. Yeah, a few arguments between me and Dan, as always. But I'm right, Dan's wrong,
As always.
So, that is it from us here at Praise the Pickle. We love you. We're going to leave you until next episode. Love you. Goodbye. Toodaloo.
Pickle.
Bye.